And this is Ken Kreitzer at the Maritime College in Throgs Neck in the Bronx. I had a chance to chat with the leader of this heads-up football clinic today, Vincent DiGaetano, who is the defensive coordinator and a master trainer in college football. And Coach, tell us a little bit about why heads-up football is so important.
Well, Ken, one of the reasons that it's so important is it really standardizes the approach to tackling. The other part of it, too, is it's got three main pillars. One of them being the equipment fitting component, one being the concussion awareness component, and the other one being the actual heads-up tackling. And the other part of it, too, is it's a curriculum that's based not only on just for coaches, not only for players, but it's also important for parents so that they're aware fully of what their sons are actually and daughters are actually encountering.
And we hear a lot about the concerns about concussions in not just football but in other sports. What are some of the signs of a concussion, and what's the treatment that's necessary for someone to come back from a concussion injury?
Well, you know, as coaches, it's very important, obviously, that we know the signs and the symptoms. And based on that, really the biggest treatment is to seek medical professional help. You know, as coaches, we got to make sure that you know, we're not the ones who are ultimately diagnosing it, but we use a lot of the signs and symptoms that are based off the CDC. You know, those lack of memory, those lack of understanding plays, those lack of those different situations, those situations where somebody may be a little bit more irritable or prone to other things. You know, some of those symptoms like headache and nausea that happen. It's important that we remove them from play immediately and have them seek professional medical help. You know, one of the biggest things that we talk about in terms of coaching with the heads-up football component is that when they're in doubt, they need to sit the player out. And obviously until they're cleared to be able, and then have a progressive return to play policy and not just institute right away that the player returns back to full action.
Okay, and you talked today about the importance of proper tackling, and tell us what is the key technique in proper tackling.
Okay, well, what happens in the progression of the heads-up tackling is it's a five-step approach, and the five-step approach starts from that breakdown position. It ultimately works with a buzzing of the feet and approaching the ball carrier. One of the biggest problems that we have with players is that they tend to break down too far away from the ball carrier. The key with it is getting those points of contact, which includes that front of the shoulder, taking the head out of the play. We ultimately want them to be in a great hitting position, want them to shoot their hips and rip with their arms. The other key component about tackling is about teaching tackling. And part of that too comes with the levels of contact, be it that if you're going to go on air or against bags or in controlled situations, ultimately thud situations or live situations, that they need to vary. Not all great tacklers have to become great tacklers in live tackling situations. They can be done in a lot of different situations that are less collision situations too.
Yes. And what are some of the factors that are important for youth coaches and parents and high school coaches and parents to learn about proper technique in teaching football?
Okay. One of the biggest things, and especially when it comes back to the heads-up component, is the ability for those coaches to get on the USA Football website, become actual certified coaches before they get into this side of it, and then nominating what's called a player safety coach, which I act as a master trainer, and we have you know, about 35 of them around the country that have been doing player safety clinics. Very partnered up very closely with NFL and some of the NCAA places. I've done some at Giant Stadium. I've done some at Rutgers University, and the ability for them to have a player safety coach that's in that league that oversees that these proper techniques and these proper protocols have been put into place for the entire league, and to make sure that the parents are fully educated as well. That's always going to be a big part of it too, is the ability for them to have that standardized approach.
And today you had a number of youth players and high school players, and you had a couple of thoughts about how they should try to prepare for advancing their educations.
And I think that's always a key component. Whenever especially our players, and we're proud of our players to get to the level that there are, to be part of the NCAA. And I think it's always an opportunity whenever we have the youth players and the youth coaches here to really remind them that the important part of football is to be used as that tool to get them to what their next level of whatever is, but ultimately that biggest piece is going to be that education piece and the ability for them to work hard in their schoolwork and to really be attentive to those needs, because you know, they could be great tacklers and they could be great football players, but ultimately they need to be great students too. And student athlete is the first part of athlete.
Absolutely, and here at the Maritime College, you have many graduates who go into the sea services, into the maritime profession, and also into the Navy and the military. How does why do the students come here, and how does your college help them advance into their professional programs?
Part of being part of Maritime College is that we have the regimental component of it. You know, Maritime has a lot of different types of components, one of them being the military part, one of them being the industry part. And we do have a regimental student population, and the biggest part about that is it really prepares them for the licensing piece for when they ride on ships. But one of the bigger components of being part of the regiment is that leadership component that they're able to bring onto the next level. And usually they do start out in the field in the maritime industry, but a lot of times they progress into different types of industries, and the biggest part of it too is that leadership component from the regimental atmosphere, but then also coupled with that leadership that they exhibit with the teamwork and through the football side of it too, really kind of makes them that dual threat, and it kind of really extends a lot of their employability at that next level. But you see that they really are well prepared for that next level of employment.
And Coach, you mentioned to me that you had a member of your family who was an Army veteran, World War II. Tell us a little bit about him.
Oh, my grandfather was part of the Big Red One. He was part of Omaha Beach in World War II, and he's been obviously a big instrumental part into my own development more than anything else. And he was out here before he passed with Maritime at our first game. You know, started really with my father, the tailgating section of this, and you know, it's been obviously a big instrumental part, and it's never forgotten on game day, having that piece. And then the other piece of that too is it always brings close to home the affiliation all of our families really do have here, you know, with the veterans, and of course all of the great work that they do, and obviously really paying tribute to a lot of the service that they do to help protect us.
Absolutely, Coach Vincent DiGaetano here at the Maritime College. Thank you for all you do and all your good work with Heads Up Football, teaching proper football technique. Thank you very much from all of us at the American Legion.
Thank you, Ken.